would patronize your product. So the purpose of this panel is to explore how strategic branding can accelerate the growth of Ghana's creator economy and identify practical ways for creators, brands, and investors to collaborate and then scale. On the stage, two individuals who understand how that works, and so listen with rapt attention. Both of them have built brands locally and internationally, so I believe they would have some interesting perspectives for us to hear this morning. So I would take off and start with you, Ama. By the way, is a round of applause for Amarae. Amarae making us proud all over the world. Whilst we are in Ghana eating Gary and Shito, she's in France, you know. She's jamming at a concert. You love to see that. You really, really love to see that. So Ama, let me begin with you. How does your brand move from just being from content to becoming content that's valuable economically?
Check, check, check. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you please repeat that?
How does your brand move from just creating content to becoming an economically viable one? And by the way, before you answer, please welcome Keni Ribeiro to the stage. Yes, Kenny, we've been waiting for you. Your Majesty, you're welcome. Ama, so let's take off now. How does your brand move from just creating content to becoming an economically viable one?
I think that's a loaded question, first of all. So what I can tell you is about my personal approach. I think there are a few things to keep in mind, right? Content creation is one thing, and reaching an audience is one thing, but I think that when you start to create content, you should think first and foremost about who your audience is. I think for me, starting in Ghana was a unique challenge because of the kind of music that I make. It's very niche. So immediately when I started, I knew that I had to identify those who were, number one, like me, and those who were interested in the things that I was interested in, and those who wanted to see the things that I wanted to see. So what I started with, not necessarily content creation, but community building. And the way that I started with my community building, I did a set of shows in about 5 or 6 different spaces in Accra. And it was very small spaces. It was like Cafe Kwai, maybe Palm Moments or something like that. And there was another space, there was a few other spaces, and it was 5 small shows. And what I did was, with each show, it gave people an opportunity to come and just hear me live, see me live, take pictures, ask me about questions about my music, sign merch. So that was how I started to build the Amarae community. And then from there, I then started to build my visual identity around what I saw in that community. And it's a lot of kids that dress like me, right? Like, they're alt, they're cool. It's also a lot of young queer people as well too, right? So I think that having that in mind, the way that I built my aesthetic was geared towards young, cool outliers who are trying to find their ways in society. So that was also reflected in my visual identity. So even if you haven't been to any of the community gatherings and you see me online, you know that, okay, this is one of us. I want to be a part of the Amarae world. So then I built my visual identity around that. And then I think third of all, scaling the combination of community and visual identity. And for me, that became now public visibility. And what do I stand for when I'm in public spaces? So how do I simplify this? Because there's so many layers to this, and I want to try and shorten the conversation. I think there's a monetary and financial aspect to scaling that we have to be honest about, right? So now you build your community, now you have your visual aesthetic. There has to be a certain level of marketing that goes into that to further your audience so that now those who are not just in your community might see you and might want to be a part of your world, and that gives you access to new communities or new spaces. And that comes in with marketing, right? And with marketing, you can be creative online with the way that you build your visuals, but I think that that only goes so far. And virality doesn't necessarily equal economic success
That's right. That's right.
99.99999% of the time. So I think with scaling, for me, the things that I considered was, where do we put our ad spend? I tried Ghana for a year, and that didn't work. So where I actually went to next was Lagos. And I remember it was me and my team. Esther, who's one of my managers, is in the building right now. She will tell you this. We went to Lagos for like 2 or 3 weeks, and we hit every TV and radio station, every altar act that was doing a concert. I pulled up. Anyone that was doing an event, a party, I pulled up, and I also then fostered the community there. And then what I learned was a lot of these artists were scaling their music into England. My question is like, how? And then people say, oh, I have a publicist who helps me be more visible in certain publications in the US and the UK. Okay, I have a lawyer who helps negotiate contracts. Okay, maybe I haven't done a record deal yet, but I'm doing a publishing deal. And maybe for my publishing deal, I'm getting 100,000, 200,000, and that's allowing me to put money back into my business, right? So that's building better visuals, having ad spend for online and having ad spend for IRL marketing. So to cut the long story short, because I think I'm talking too much, these are the main facets of what I did. Was first I started with community, then I started with visual identity, and then I scaled. And I scaled by first realizing that the market that I was in for my kind of music and my kind of sound was limited. So I looked into other markets that were accepting and growing, and then I moved gradually into those markets. And with Lagos, I did the same thing, building community, building my visual identity, and then asking those around who are scaling, how are you scaling? And they gave me the keys. Get a publicist, get a lawyer, get a publishing deal, because that allows you to get money to put back into your pocket to then scale your business. So that is the information that I have so far.
Very intentional. A round of applause. Very interesting. Very intentional. This conversation is important because when we see Amarae making the music, that we don't see what's behind pushing that machine. So I'll come back to you on that. Let me go to Nuel Bans. How'd you move? Let's stay in the scaling conversation. How'd you move a brand, Debonair Afrique, into other parts of Africa, into fashion houses in France, and what you do all over the world? What's that process? How'd you scale that?
Okay, as part of our company, Debonair Afrique, we run under 4 pillars, which is creativity, communication, culture, and collaboration. And as part of that, every year what we do is we try to take a pillar and see what we can do within that pillar. So as part of collaboration and community, we decided to see which avenues we can push ourselves. And we realized that the American market loves African fashion. Already is there. But then I think for us creatives, every day is an adventure. So we decided to go into the European market, which is Berlin. We did our first show in Berlin, and then we did the other one in Paris. And in Paris, we just started with just a talk, a Soul House, and people were like, "Oh, but we want to see more." We went out again, did another talk, but we did a dinner this time around, and that was where the conversation changed. So with the dinner, we invited every editor, black, white, everyone that we knew under our radar. And then we collaborated with Incredible Studios. That's a studio I work with, where we do shoots for Chanel, Bottega, Vogue as well. We did the first Vogue cover to be shot in Africa as well here in Ghana. So when we did that, we partnered with the agency, and we did a dinner. And we realized that there's more space, there's more things to be done. Now we started working with designers to see how best we can get designers into the European market, and that's what we are working on now. This is to say that it's always not the fact that you want to go into Europe, so you're going into Europe. You have to go with a plan. You have to go with a strategy. We now have a media strategist, as she said, who is putting us into the global space, into the rooms that we can have access to. Some of the rooms we got access into was because of how I look. And we went to a dinner and someone was like, I love your hat. Where did you get it from? And then it led us into LVMH. We had a conversation and we're having a partnership with them upcoming as well. So basically to be able to move or navigate into the global spaces, I think it's important for you to move with a plan and with the thoughts. And once you have a community, I really love what you said about community, because I remember that there was a video which flew it, and that had a lot of views, and I was like, she's different. She's different. And to be able to move in a space where they know nothing about you, you have to be patient, and you have to know how to also communicate what you have rightfully to the audience. So to navigate these spaces, after that we did New York as well, during New York Fashion Week, where we also did another collaboration again with another agency to create like a talk and then just bring everybody together. Right now we're in the convention stage, we are bringing everybody together and having meaningful conversations and a network. And for the first time, our event was the first Black creative event to have all Black creatives in that space in Paris. For us, it's more about impact. It's more about we making impact, not just in Ghana, but globally. Currently, in one thing that once you take your bag and you leave Kotoka, every country is international. And I want us to also have that mindset, because people think once you go into Europe or America, then it's international. But once you even go to Togo, once you go to Abidjan, there is a huge market over there. Brands are investing so much money into the creative space. And when Joey was giving his address, I think most of the time we are all looking at Ghana. But then there is a neighboring country that has money, that wants creatives to come and do amazing things. So one of the things we did this year, every year what we do is that we take creatives into Abidjan and we host a fashion week in Abidjan, which there is sponsorship, there is brands willing to give money to creatives. So I believe that one of those things that helped us is to also, diversify our community and then move into different spaces to be able to amplify our works and then our messaging on the continent.
Excellent stuff. Round of applause for Nuel Bans. I'm gonna premise Kemi's question based on a series she did on Instagram. 25 ways to be seen, heard, and paid. So connect those dots for me. How do you get seen? How do you get heard? And how do you connect that to getting paid?
Just checking if you can hear me. All right.
Loud and clear.
Hello, everyone. How do we get seen as
Seen
creatives and
heard.
entrepreneurs? I think the very first thing is being clear. If you heard from both of them, they were very clear about who they wanted to speak to, who they wanted to target. So the first thing you need to do is figure out, what do I bring to the table? What is my unique take on whatever it is the problem is? And who needs to see or hear or know that I possess this solution? Most of the time, people start with, I'm good at sewing, so let me sew. You get frustrated in 2 years and give up. But if you have a very specific niche, I want to transform batik into something that can be on, let's say, Paris Fashion Week or wherever it is. I want it to be locally relevant but globally also acceptable. Then it means that your designs are completely different from everyone else's, because their targets, the intention is different. Most people aren't clear. If you start on being clear, most of the time what happens is you will find people who can resonate with the value you're bringing. So you heard both of them speak about community. So people would say, I like this, or I didn't know I needed this until you said this. I want to get onto that. Then you start curating that community. Most of the time, people miss the clarity, they miss the community, and then they miss the third part, which we've actually said all of those, the collaboration part, collaboration or partnerships. Very often we like to think of, I'm an island, I must succeed, I must get my name out there. But sometimes it's a collaboration like sitting on this panel. This is a collaboration for me, because it gets the people I need to hear to see me. So sometimes, once you figure out what the clarity is, what the community is, then you move on to very strategic collaborations. Don't just collaborate for the sake of collaborating. It must be mutually beneficial to both of you. It must help you get closer to your goal, or it must help you get closer to the people you want to get closer to. So in a nutshell, that's how, as an entrepreneur, you can get seen and heard. Yes.
And then paid. Based
And
on
then
that, I
paid.
want to ask a question about culture. Amma, I'll come back to you, Amma. So how do you tell the audience, give some advice on how to build a brand that's culturally authentic, but also globally competitive? Yeah, you can take Noah's
Check.
mic there.
Hello?
Okay, so all that, yeah.
So first of all, I think that the most important thing that I don't think we should skip over is that you must start with a good product, a high quality product that you can vouch for. So whatever you're doing, I think you should start knowing that you're making the best version of it or the highest quality version of it, and you plan to grow. And as you scale, you grow and make sure that the quality maintains or the standard or the bar is raised. Outside of that, sorry, what was the question? Can you please repeat that question again?
Culturally authentic, but globally competitive.
Yes. So I think you start with the quality of the product. And then I think that you have to decide what is important to you. So when you say culturally relevant but globally competitive, for me, what I considered culturally relevant in Ghana, I think was something that nobody really considered culturally relevant. So there was a lane ready for me to take because I don't think that people were considering alternative music in the way that I was considering it. So for me, that was the cultural aspect of it, is how do I take Ghanaian music and fuse it in such a way that whether you are in Japan, in Takoradi, in LA, New York, it's something that you can identify has a unique fingerprint, and that unique fingerprint is unique specifically to Ghana and nowhere else, but also can translate from here to all over the world. And what I realized was the concept of fusion as far as music. Fusing languages was a big one. Fusing sonics, like what happens when you mix R&B and high life? That then I think starts to change the conversation or create a conversation between the rest of us that are here and the people that are all over the world. So that was kind of where I found my strong suit, was fusion. How do I take what I know locally and make it global by adding different global elements to it sonically? And that, I think, was a next step for me. As far as then taking it to a global scale, networking was a humongous part of that. I mentioned earlier going to Lagos. Lagos was a very, very big stepping stone for me networking-wise, because being in that space, not only was I introduced to artists that were scaling, but I was introduced to other business people that were scaling as well and were interested in coming into the Ghana space and were looking for artists to sign. So for example, I did my first ever deal with Platoon. And at the time, Platoon was working with artists like Cruel Santino, Odunsi the Engine, Kwesi Arthur as well. And then they were looking for a female artist to work with, and I got introduced to them via Cruel Santino. So that was the first thing that I did, was being able to sign my deal so that I could get the finances or get the kind of cash injection to put into my music videos, to put into my marketing, to put into my brand and artistry, how I look physically, how everything else around me looks physically, to also put into building and scaling a capable team. I went from just my mom managing me to having 2 co-managers who are UK-based. I went from having 1 lawyer to having a team of lawyers. I went from having 1 publicist to having a publicist that's UK-based, US-based, and one that does global. I also went from having just no one booking my shows to an agent who was LA based, who then was like, okay, cool, you're coming to the UK, the US for the first time. these are people that want to see you. We can put you on Pitchfork Festival. We can put you on Lollapalooza. We can put you on Gov Ball. And even those moments as well contributed a lot to my first album scaling and reaching the necessary ears that it needed to. And I think maybe the first song that I dropped at the beginning of it was at maybe 500,000 streams, and by the end of the year might have been 20 or 30 million. And that was just due to playing those festivals. That was due to going to the States and doing sessions and meeting people and networking and all of that. And also having a quality product that I could stand behind, and also having the capability to scale as well, and having a capable team and building and scaling the team as and when I was growing.
Okay. So you're saying build a good product and
Yes.
then network the hell out of
Build a
yourself.
good product, build a good team,
and
network the hell out of it, and when met with challenges, learn to be flexible and learn to learn as you go. And also, number one, have a good attitude and be respectful to people. 'Cause
Jams.
I think that is the one that I would
Jams.
say the most, because power changes hands, and you never know when you will come back to meet somebody again. And if you were rude because you thought the person standing in the corner was a janitor or whatever, so you didn't have to say hello or shake their hand or introduce yourself to them, you never know. But outside of that, I think it's just courtesy. And that's something that I was taught as a youth, and I think that courtesy has taken me really, really, really far. Just introducing myself to everyone and saying hello and looking people in the eye and smiling and saying please and
Wonderful.
thank you.
Wonderful. Noah, let me come back to you. I want you to correct a certain perception. I've seen you use local fashion so well internationally that you're almost mind blown when you see the kind of things you wear. I see you working in France in an African hat, and it's all drama. First of all, you've been connected to the local fashion industry and taking these pieces to the world. I'm sure you sell a lot of them too. Talk about how to create that kind of authentic fashion, and talk about how to have the confidence to wear those kind of things in the places people think you shouldn't wear them.
Right. First of all, we work with brands. As part of our agency, we work with brands. So I keep telling the designers that we are not selling products, but we are positioning brands. Okay. And as part of the positioning, I think it's also important that you have to be very authentic with what you are producing, as she said, and it has to be unique. And for so many years, African fashion has always been seen as costume and not wearable pieces or wearable art. It's always not costumes. So they've never highly respected whatever we've been doing. So it's just in recent years that we have brands like Christy Brown, Andre, Elikwame, that is changing the game. I think recently last week, Elikwame is my client, Abidjan, the Ivorian team going to Cannes. They were all seen in Kente. And that was a strategic movement.
I saw that. It's really good. It's really good one.
That was a strategic movement we decided to take because everybody was wearing their tracksuit or maybe their fabric or a kaftan. But we said, how do we fuse couture in Africa or craftsmanship in Africa into sports? And we were like, let's put them into jackets. Let's put them into something that is cold. It's winter in Morocco. Let's put them into jackets. Let's put them into white shirt. And what happened was I'm just sitting down seeing the followers and then the orders coming in. And that was a strategic move we never paid for, but we're paid to have that strategic move.
That was huge.
So to say we positioning brands is a huge factor for us because once you get into a space and it's a new environment, you are responsible of the culture in your hands at the time. So wherever you find yourself as a creative, in a different environment, in a different setting, you are the custodian of the culture and in the community, and you need to represent very well.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
thank you. And you'd have to make sure that whatever you are saying, whatever you are wearing, how you are positioning the brands, just one meeting led to another meeting, as I said, and it was like, oh yeah, we have a lot of like local weavers in Ghana, Oh yeah, I want to see that. Oh yes, then the next minute there was an order. Just that one conversation. So it's also important to do something that will get the attention of the global market. And by doing that, we are changing the narrative and saying that African fashion belongs to the shelves in every mall, from the Selfridges to the Galerie Lafayette to all the global spaces. And when we started Debonair Africa, I quite remember that at a point we didn't even have content because most designers were not shooting editorials. Everybody would just grab a client, take a picture, and then that is it. But then we wanted to create something different. So we started with our publication where we were shooting content for brands. And I mean content for our magazine. And then that also was part of our community that came together. Someone brought a camera, a makeup artist came, a hairstylist came, and we started that. Now we progressed to the next level where brands wanted us to shoot the same content for them. And then now we created a studio. Now we created another level where we are doing global partnerships with like global brands, for brands like Vlisco, where we gift like giftings and PR communications in the global space, because now global brands want to move into Africa, but who is the gateway? So we found a solution and we created a brand. Now, in terms of position, if you don't position yourself, the environment will position you, and they will call you, and they will, so I mean, you have to tell the narrative yourself. You have to tell people that this is who you are, this is what I do, this is where you have to meet.
If you don't position yourself, the environment will position you.
Right.
I'm going to steal that.
That's a gem.
So it's important that our industry is like 80% appearance.
Yeah.
And then your personality and who you are as a person and how you speak, how you talk to people. As you said, you need to talk to people and treat people very well, because you never know. You never know who you're going to meet anywhere. And sometimes you go into rooms and someone is saying, oh, I know Debonair Africa. I'm like, really? Oh, they are really good. And then I've gotten people push me to work with other brands because they don't know that I'm the founder, like, behind Debonair Africa. Which sometimes is very interesting because
your name precedes you. That's a good thing.
And I want people to see the work. So it's important that as we go individually into the global space, wherever we find ourselves, we need to represent the brand and in the culture. And by representing the culture, as you said, we need to be truly like authentic to yourself.
I love it.
Can I ask you a question? Can you speak on the value of professionalism in these spaces and how far that takes you when you're a strong professional who values things like time management, respect, but also knowing your stuff, and being able to perform when put into difficult spaces? Because I feel like that's a big part of scaling a brand that people don't usually speak about. And I think you're talking a lot about networking, and you're saying how you've had all of these opportunities, but I imagine that those opportunities wouldn't continue to come if you weren't an excellent professional. So can you speak on what it takes professionally and what level and quality of professionalism you have to be able to operate in these spaces?
For people who know me, when it comes to my work, I'm not the nicest person. I am not, because as I said, our industry depends on our personality and who we are. So I do not want to put anything out there that doesn't represent us. Now, I've had like people come into the company and then maybe in a week or 2 weeks they quit because everybody thinks, most people think the fashion. So, or the creative space is the playground. So they come in, they want to have fun, they want to take the selfies.
Party.
But the funny thing is, you are inviting about 200 people to an event and you're just sending emails, like, getting everybody to the event. It's not child's play. And I think creatives need to understand that there is a creative aspect of us and the business aspect of us. Once you understand that in that way.
Say that again.
There is the creative aspect and there's a business aspect to what we do. So once you understand it that way, you will know that you don't play with your business. Recently, I said something to my team that you will not walk into a bank as a bank teller wearing bum shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops to work. But because you're a creative, you will walk into my office dressed like that, you will go home and change. Because we need to
go home.
We need to understand that how you look is how the client will see you.
Absolutely.
And with what you're saying, working in the global space, there was a time we were doing the shoot for Vogue, and then I was relaxed with the clients. Everybody were all chilling, drinking and all of that. And then my head of production called me aside and said, Noel, you are too relaxed. The client is not happy. Because I was relaxed. Because they don't see that you are actually working. So then I thought it wise that he wants to see you working. He wants to make sure that the buses are ready, everybody is moving. And when it comes to timing, we are not the best as Ghanaians when it comes to timing, I must say.
Ghanaian creatives in particular.
Yeah, but then sometimes it's sad that as we event organizers, we also have to put together like structures. Yesterday, we were having a conversation about our Time Gala and Fashion Awards, and in the time was 6:30 p.m. I'm like, put a cocktail opening over there at 4. Get everybody to come in at 4 to 6, so that by 6:30 we can start. Because then, right now, it looks like we have to improvise and come up with structures and systems that will get people to get to our event or whatever we are doing on time. So let's say if we had said today we're having a breakfast meeting before the talk, I bet you we'll have a lot of people in the lobby coming to eat breakfast before the talk, which is not supposed to be like that. But then at this point, that's what we are working with. And I'm working in an industry where there is no university teaching fashion communication, fashion marketing. So I'm doing everything by myself.
You're your own
my
professor.
partners, and teaching, you have to teach, and then you have to be patient with the people here, I must say. With the global people, it's like, Noel, it's 8 a.m., I'm waiting for the email. By 7:45, I know that I have to be awake and get something done. But the local person that you're working with don't understand that you need to be like very professional working with global clients, because they are marking you on the same level as
everyone else in the world.
And if you want to be paid that $1 million as an artist for like Shatawale or maybe Burna Boy, you need to give the same standard.
Yeah.
You need to give the same level. You need to make sure that if you're a designer and they're inviting you for a fashion week, your collection is great, the models look good, like the hair, makeup, everything looks good. Because that is what positions you to a light to say, I want a first class or nothing. I want this or nothing. So it comes with we also culturally like educating ourselves here and then understanding that we are not just working for the people in Ghana. We are working for global success. And in order to work for global success, you need to start thinking globally and act globally. And global means that you need to make sure you are highly professional and understand the industry you work in, and that will give you a global excellence to that approach.
Wonderful. Wonderful answer. Keni, in terms of brand building, in the next 12 months, what should creators prioritize?
The next 12 months.
Yeah, the next year.
Okay.
What should people really be keen in on to make that jump?
So 3 things.
Okay.
I'll try to keep it brief.
Okay.
The first thing is something they've already said. Have substance. So have something that can help us to vouch for you. If it's that excellent work ethic, or it's a certain fingerprint that is on the work, that you can see that is work that I have done. This is what Keni has done. You should have that thing for yourself. And it can vary for everyone, but you must find that thing. Because most of us are thinking, around this time I want to scale, I want to go bigger, I want to do better. But most of the time, we don't have that thing that is of value for us to start with. The second thing is something that I think most people in the creative industry overlook, which is thought leadership. A lot of us think, yeah, I'm the best fashion expert ever. Everyone knows that I know my stuff, end of story. No. You hear them speak about sometimes you have to teach someone, because there's no curriculum for how to be an excellent entrepreneur here in Ghana. There's no curriculum for how to conquer the creative economy in 2026. But if you as an excellent individual who's producing a certain product or service can think about how you will share your unique take on whatever it is. So let's say this creator economy we're talking about, Amarae's perspective is from the music angle. There are so many things that are happening in the creator economy that she can speak to from a music perspective that I can't speak to. I can speak to it from the sidelines based on what I see and how I think things can improve upon, but she has a unique perspective. So that would be her, should I say, her launch pad. So by all means, start speaking about these things. Sometimes start teaching the generation coming behind you. Sometimes it's a tweet, or it's an article, or it's a talking head video. Let people experience your mind and the way it works. I find that that's what's missing for a lot of people. We just put out the stuff and then we move on. and expect the opportunities to fall in our laps. You heard them mention all sorts of countries. The only reason why people out of those countries are willing to collaborate or associate with them is because they have demonstrated value to a certain extent. And now that we have the internet, it's a lot easier to do. All I have to do is put out my phone and talk about whatever it is I want to talk about and press send, and the internet will send it to the people that it needs to go to. Most of the time, we are missing that thought leadership. And for that, I think if we can do that, it will be the game changer for a lot of creatives. You're in the food industry. What's your unique take? We are talking about dirty December. Is it dirty? Should it not be dirty? Why are people not coming? What is coming? What is your unique take on that conversation as a brand strategist, as an entertainment executive, as a journalist, as whatever it is, how you fit into that economy? People must see you like own your corner of that.
Okay.
I find that that's one of the ways that you live and get certain opportunities. Because someone will hear and say, I like the way she thinks. So because of that, I think we should have her to work on this. It's not necessarily only about how good your work is, but they are able to experience how your mind works. Most of the time, let's be honest, it's in the creative world, it's your mind that does a lot of the things. I know that I will be able to put together a certain kind of look and feel. I know that if I speak, you'd walk out with certain actionable steps. There should be that thing. So for every creative, and don't feel as though I just arrived, I don't know much. There are people behind you who don't know what you know. There are people who will benefit from what you learned 10 years ago that has, should I say, shaped the way you handle business today.
Okay.
So have a mentorship something, give back, or speak about certain things. Let people, for want of a better word, the way you are able to say 25 ways is my thought leadership product, for want of a better word.
Yeah,
Because
we all saw it. It's good.
I'm constantly telling you how to build your brand, how you can position
You
it,
forced
how you
us to
can
watch
process.
it. It was really
And the
good.
process. So that's like you sharing your process.
No.
Okay.
25 ways was
It was-
not
it was
me
sharing
my
tips,
process.
yeah?
It was sharing
Okay.
tips on how people
On how
can
to.
improve upon their brands.
Anyways,
Yes.
I'm going to come back round to
The
everybody.
last one, I
okay,
forgot the
right,
last one,
Right.
collaborations.
Okay.
I've said it twice, but I'll say it again, because again, we are at Entertainment Week Ghana, which is supposed to be an opportunity for us to collaborate and to move forward. Most of us will probably just come, take pictures with someone and move on. Like, oh, I met this person.
I was there
we went.
some.
Be very intentional with the networking, with the connection, with the collaborating, and don't just do that. Have a next step. So if I had a conversation with Amarae and Nuel, okay, what next? There should be something. Oh, let's have a conversation about this in a month's time when the new year has settled in.
Yeah.
Always have that actionable step, because those are the things that open doors. A lot of the things that you have done are usually because someone said, I can vouch for her, I know she can do this. So let's take advantage of these kind of environments to collaborate, to network, and to position a little more.
Follow up is very key.
Yes.
All three of you have 30 seconds each. Just drop one more gem for all of our audience and everyone who's going to see this. What's your advice to creators in the current creator economy? I'll start with you, Amma.
The way they were looking at me, I was confused.
What's my advice to in the creator economy, specifically in Ghana?
Yes.
Okay. I think that Ghana is a very tricky space to navigate.
Is it?
From my personal perspective, maybe not from everybody's perspective. But I think that also from the outside looking into the new creator economy or the budding creator economy, there is a lack of a clicking or a connection that is happening with a wider audience. And I think that that is due to also a lack of information being shared with one another. And I think that this is why it's important for panels and stuff like this to happen. But I do think that conversation needs to keep happening between creatives as far as how are we doing the things that we're doing? What resources are we employing? Who is helping to employ those resources? So I think for me, my gem will be to be in constant communication with your peers, your mentors, those who you look up to, and also to be in constant research as well. There's so much to learn and there's so much to share. And for me, I think that I would be nowhere without research. I'm constantly always doing research. I'm constantly always asking someone around me whether they have less or no less or have more or no more. I always am constantly learning and curious. So for the creators coming now, I think that your network and your value right now is within yourselves and within each other. Communicate with each other, collaborate with each other, help each other, share information with each other. Do things for each other at no cost, because that's how you are building your relationships now, so that 5-10 years down the line you can come back to your friend with a check. That's happened to me several times, you know what I mean? So what you have right now, if you don't have nothing, you have your iPhone, you have your mind, and you have your neighbor. So use that to your advantage and make sure that you build community within your own artistic selves. That will take you miles and miles and miles. Free the Youth, for example, are like my brothers. When I was first coming up and when they were first coming up in Tema, those were one of the first people to give me clothes, co-sign me. Now, literally, any Free the Youth thing that they call me for, I do it for free. I give my time. Cult Pop is another one where, like, when I was very early on, if Official Kwame emceed my first show for literally for free. Now, any Cult Pop event they do, I make sure I show up to support the community. I make sure I chair any balls or host anything that they ask me for absolute free. Because at the time when I needed community, those were the people that showed up for me. And now I get to see Free the Youth worldwide, everywhere. And I see them in Paris, or I see them in whatever, and it's always an exchange of opportunities, ideas, and also community and friendship. So start those relationships now. They will be priceless 5 years, a decade from now.
Good advice, Alma. Thank you. Round of applause for Alma. Nuel, briefly, what's your advice? You take Alma's mic, eh?
Hello? Okay, good. So my take home, for me, is going to be you're stubborn with the decision to be a creative in an African home. And so you have to make sure that you have to deliver, and you can't go home the same way you left home.
I love it. It's great advice.
So that means that you have a responsibility, and the responsibility to make sure that you show up for yourself and you show up for the community and in the culture we work in. My second thing is also going to say that no matter where you find yourself and how you also find yourself, how you see yourself, always know that there is a supreme being, which is God, above all of us, and then you need to make sure that as a creative, you always have to pray. Whether you're a Muslim, whether any religion, you have to pray, because God himself is a creative, and that you also have to pray. And he's manifesting his energy through you, so you have to give it out. My final thing to say is that I think we should learn how to support new businesses and new startups. Not all of us got it perfect when we started. We had to like kiss so many frogs to get to where we are, and we are still kissing frogs. So just support young, emerging brands, emerging talent. Like what am I saying right now? I think it's very, very emotional to hear that with Free the Youth. Let's just support young and emerging brands. Let's give them the hope that we can do it, because that is how we are able to build an ecosystem and a community of everybody that understands what we are doing. You can't build an industry by yourself. It takes a collective effort. So at this point, I would like to say thank you very much for the opportunity, and also thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Noel. Keni, quick advice.
So my thing would be, stop waiting for life to happen as a creative. I know that in Ghana we have a lot of excuses. We're not getting support from the government. We're not getting funding. We're not getting this. We're not getting that. It's easier if I go abroad. Even if I do the content, I don't get monetized. I don't get this. I don't get that. I think that one of the things we should do as creatives is decide that this is the corner of the internet or this area of expertise that I want to own, and consistently hit at it. Consistently, like with everything you have. Just, if you don't remember anything anyone says today, that one thing in this $10 billion creator economy that you want to harness, just decide that I'm going to hit at it with everything I have over the next 12 months, consistently. It will pay off. Even if you You would either, it's one of two things. You discover, I really don't like this thing and pivot, or you discover, this is what I was born to do, and you go ahead and do it. But stop making excuses and put in everything you have. That's my final
Stop
take.
making excuses. Are we going to do a Q&A, Eddie? Okay. We've spent a lot of the time already. Thank you for your advice. Show some love to Amarae, Nuel Bans of Debonair Freak, and Keni Ribeiro. 25 ways to be heard, seen, and paid. Remember, to be is better than to seem to be. My name is Bliss King. Thank you all for listening to this incredible, incredible creators.